Thank you for taking the time to review our presentation on helping our students succeed in Spanish 2 in the second semester. This presentation was given at Lake Braddock for Spanish 2 parents on January 28th, and if you have any questions regarding any of the information in the presentation, please contact your student's teacher and we will be happy to elaborate on any of the information within. Spanish is the most popular course selection of all the languages here at Lake Braddock. We feel it probably is the most popular because it is the most useful to students in their daily lives as they move forward throughout school and into the workplace. Our goal is to have students in Spanish be successful, but also develop fluency. This language is about communicating to other people, and we are not just about checking off a box for an advanced studies diploma. We want them to be able to communicate their ideas, to ask for help, to help others in the language, and it really is a rigorous course. We like to think of ourselves as the fifth core, alongside English, Spanish, social studies, and science. And hopefully our students approach it as such, not just as another elective. So by the end of Spanish 2, our goals are for students to develop a basic speaking proficiency and some original expression of thought, and not just memorize rote phrases or parrot back as they did in Level 1. The curriculum for Level 2, and actually all languages and all levels, is cumulative and spiraling. And what that means is that we take what we learned last year, we reintegrate it and reuse it in a new and interesting way in Level 2. But that also means within Level 2, everything we've done in Chapter 1, 2, and 3 is going to come back in Chapter 4 at the end of the year. So it's essential that the students are constantly reworking and refreshing their vocabulary and their skills from throughout the year in order to be able to maintain their performance and maintain the ability to communicate using everything they've learned from across the year. So Level 1 foundation was really only the beginning. We spent the first semester this year reviewing skills from Level 1 in addition to vocabulary. We've spent time reviewing regular and irregular verb conjugations, if that is a Level 1 skill, and also reviewing stem change verbs, what they are and how to conjugate them. And this is all things and skills that should have been developed in Level 1 and enhanced in Level 2. The only new item we've covered so far is the present progressive and also reflexive verbs. But all of these things that we're doing this year are going to be essential skills for success in Level 3. Level 3 builds on Level 2 and Level 1. So if at any point the student is missing a portion of that curriculum, it's going to impact them severely for the coming year. In second semester, we're looking at some significant challenges. We are looking at 5 new grammar concepts in addition to 4 to 5 chapters of vocabulary. And the grammar concepts that we're going to be looking at are very different from the ones that the students have become accustomed to from the first half of this year and from Level 1. And one thing that is important to note too is that because the second semester is significantly more challenging, our past trends have indicated that there is a drop in performance because the course becomes more demanding. So it's more and more it becomes more and more obvious that the students have to put in the time and put in the effort on a daily basis in order to keep up with the curriculum as it moves forward at an accelerated pace. Some of our expectations in Level 2, as mentioned before, the first of which is creating original language, is very different from Level 1. In Level 1, students become accustomed to parroting responses or responding in prepared ways. For example, a simple question like, do you like pizza? Yes, I like pizza. No, I do not like pizza, is a very common response for Level 1. In Level 2, we're looking for a more developed original idea. For example, do you like pizza? Yes, I like Tony's pizza much better than Mangino's pizza because the flavor is much more interesting. That kind of developed language is what we're looking for. We also have 8 to 10 chapters of vocabulary throughout the year, which are going to be critical for next year's performance, just as Spanish 1 vocabulary is critical for Spanish 2 success. Each list varies in length and number of words, but the key to any list or any vocabulary is really repetition. We talked about in the presentation how to correctly study with flashcards and how students should be working to each night to build the vocabulary, not just current vocabulary, but past vocabulary from this year and past vocabulary from level 1 that might still be challenging them. When they work with their flashcards, it's important to work from English to Spanish and write it down, whether they're writing it down on Conjuguemos online, whether they're practicing online with Quizlet, or whether they're writing simply with a piece of paper and a pencil. They need that repetition. They should study from English to Spanish, English side up, quiz themselves on the Spanish, write it down. Saying it aloud is also very valuable, and checking themselves for accuracy. By doing this on a daily basis, 15 to 20 minutes each day, they will build their vocabulary, and it will create long-term learning, which is what our goal really is. We need them to retain this vocabulary over the course of several years. As far as grammar is concerned, the grammar concepts that are coming in this second semester are 2 commands, which is built off of the present tense, reflexive verbs, which we have all begun to work with, which is also in the present tense. But we don't have just one past tense in Spanish. We have 2, the preterite and the imperfect. And the preterite is extraordinarily difficult because of the number of irregular verbs we have. And then finally, at the end of the year, we start to look at why would we use the preterite versus the imperfect tense to talk about actions that happened in the past. These are all new and very difficult concepts that will be repeated again in level 3, but need to be developed to a limited extent in level 2. We're also getting ready for our interactive PALS speaking tests, which are coming in level 3. PALS are our performance assessments in speaking and writing. And in level 3, the speaking assessments become interactive. What that means is 2 students have a conversation about a given topic for 3 minutes. They have to ask questions of each other. They have to respond to each other. They have to interact in order to show a developed communicative skill. We start these practices in level 2 because we want them to become accustomed to speaking to another person, listening carefully to what they're saying to you, responding appropriately. So this is something that all teachers in Spanish 2 will be working on during the second semester. We have many online resources that are available to help students. Conjuguemos.com is a great resource for rote practice and helping students to develop their vocabulary. There are also resources on Quizlet.com. If a teacher does not have content posted, all a student need do is simply do a search for Realidades 2 and whatever chapter they're studying, and they can have a number of resources that are available to them to practice on Quizlet. We also have a textbook companion site for Realidades. StudySpanish.com is another site, and there are several more. You can ask your teacher to make available to you the handout that was given out on Parents' Night, listing a number of resources that are available for practice online. Most parents are concerned because they do not know Spanish, and they don't know how to help their students if they don't speak Spanish. And the truth of the matter is, knowing Spanish is not necessary in order to support your student. There are 3 things that you can do right now to help support them this year and for the years to come. And they are develop a daily routine, working with your student to develop a daily routine for study, creating a study area free from distraction. So many times students are trying to multitask on their phone, listening to music, watching videos, and doing homework all at the same time, and this does not create a productive experience. They need to single task on Spanish so they can focus free from distraction. And the third thing parents can do is monitor daily study and homework completion. Everyone has homework on a daily basis for their Spanish class. regardless of who their teacher is. So don't ask, what is your Spanish homework? Do you have Spanish homework? Ask, what is your Spanish homework? Because they will have it. Maybe they've completed it already, but they did have an assignment each day that they have class. By monitoring their daily study, you help them to develop that daily routine and that daily habit. And the routine and the daily study does not need to be extensive. It can be 20 minutes each night. But the key really is consistency. Developing that consistent habit, consistently completing their homework, consistently studying in a productive way. And this will really help them become successful in the long term. This is a skill, just like playing a sport, playing an instrument, playing video games. The skill needs to be practiced every day in order to become developed. If it's just a sometimes habit, it's not going to be advancing as quickly as it should. Um, Students need to be booking about 30 minutes each night or afternoon for Spanish. The homework should take up a chunk of that time, and whatever's left over can be used for study or skill development, vocabulary study or grammar skill development. The homework that's assigned reinforces new concepts and new vocabulary on a nightly basis. But we only have class every other day. So students need to be working in those in-between times to develop their skill. They need to be actively studying, not passively looking. Several students have told me that they study every night, and when I ask them to show me what they do, they stare at a piece of paper. That's passive looking. The active studying means that they're actively producing, orally, written down, they're producing the language and practicing their skill. As I mentioned, the homework is always reinforcing new concepts and vocabulary, but old concepts and vocabulary need to be reinforced as well. The spiraling curriculum necessitates that old vocabulary and old grammar skills are going to be used later on, and it needs to be reinforced on a daily basis in order for this to become effective. By creating a daily habit, you're ensuring that they will develop consistency in their study. One suggestion is to schedule a regular time, perhaps after dinner. Every night after dinner, the first thing they go to is Spanish. Perhaps after they come home from practice, perhaps after they come home from school, maybe at 4 o'clock each night or 5 o'clock. Book a daily time and make it part of the routine. If they do that, they will develop consistent habits. If they develop consistent habits, they will advance in their skills. Looking ahead to level 3, students need to have a strong retention of their vocabulary from levels 1 and level 2 and a firm grasp of grammar concepts from level 1 and level 2. All of the skills we begin developing in level 2 are going to be reintroduced in level 3. But they have to have a firm grasp of it in order to develop it and enhance it in level 3. PALs become interactive. So what we're looking at is the ability to communicate with another student. It's not just simply my own ideas and my own thoughts. It's going to be about getting them across to another person and having that person understand and ask me questions about it and enhance the communication. Oral participation is extremely important in level 3 because so much of the course is conducted in the target language. And for students who are very silent in class and do not participate orally, they're going to find level 3 is a big difference from levels 1 and level 2. It may be very uncomfortable for them, and they need to be able to produce orally in order to be successful in level 3, not just to another student, but to their teacher as well. Course recommendations have been made in January for all students currently in level 2. And our recommendations have been based strictly on what skills we have observed the students demonstrating to date. We're also looking ahead at what's going to be coming in level 2, and we're anticipating a student's performance based on what they have been able to do so far. Our recommendations were um, one of two things. The first is, do the students have the skills to advance to level 3, or do the skills need development and strengthening? And we recommended those students to repeat level 2. The recommendation is not based on anything except what skills have we observed them demonstrating in class. Are their vocabulary skills advancing? Are they acquiring their vocabulary? Are they consistently performing on assessments? Or is their performance a little bit of a roller coaster ride? The recommendations can change. They are not locked in to any one course selection. And if we have made a recommendation that a student repeat level 2 at this point in January, but their skills and their habits and their performance changes during the second semester, they become stronger, they become more consistent in their performance, they're exhibiting the skills that we need them to, and they're hitting all the benchmarks of a level 2 student, we will recommend them to advance to level 3, and course selections can be changed. On the other hand, if we've recommended them to advance to level 3, but their skills diminish in the second semester, we may make a recommendation to the guidance department and to the student and to the parents to say, we really don't feel that advancing to level 3 is going to be a good idea given the performance during the second semester. Parents and students always have the option to sign up for whichever course they feel appropriate for the next school year, but please be aware that our recommendations are made for a reason. We want them to be successful. We want them to be prepared. And if we recommended that they repeat level 2, it's because we feel that level 3 might prove to be too difficult to challenge given their performance to date. Some resources that are available for assistance include the Honor Society. Spanish Honor Society holds tutoring every Monday afternoon in Senora Ort's room at C222 from 2:15 to 3:15. A student just need to walk in and say, I'm available, I'd like some assistance, can somebody help tutor me on whatever topic? And the Spanish Honor Society students in levels 3, 4, and AP are available to help. They can also be made by arrangement through Senora Ort, and all a student need do is go into her room and ask to be paired up with a Honor Society student, and they'll work out times when they can meet with you. We also have a private tutor list that's available upon request. These are teachers within the county, some teachers within Lake Braddock, some teachers who are retired that are available for you to hire as a private tutor. There's always assistance during Bruin Block. Most students use Bruin Block as a study hall to finish work for other classes, but if there's any problems or they have any challenges, Bruin Block is the ideal time to speak with their teacher to review any challenges that they're facing. And we also made available a handout to the parents of online resources. If you'd like a copy of this, all you need to do is contact your student's parent, student's teacher, and they'd be happy to email that out to you. So if you have any other questions or concerns, please contact your student's teacher via email, and we'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have. Otherwise, we really appreciate you taking the time to review this presentation, and we hoped this has given you some insight and perspective into Spanish 2 in the second semester and what's coming down the road and what to expect for level 3. Again, thank you so much, and contact us with any questions or concerns you might have.